my wife's late nights at work didn't add up, so I hid a camera in our living room. The next morning, I checked the footage and nearly dropped my coffee. That night, I played it on the big screen and said, "So, this is what you've been up to." I never imagined I'd be sharing this, but here I am, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet. Maybe it's the anonymity, or perhaps I just need to get this off my chest. Either way, here's my story. My name is Mark, and I've been married to Sarah for 8 years. We live in a cozy suburban neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois. Our life together seemed picture perfect, a comfortable home, stable jobs, and a beautiful 6-year-old daughter named Lily. I work as an IT specialist for a mid-sized firm downtown, while Sarah is a nurse at a local hospital. Her shifts were often erratic, but I understood the demands of her profession. Over the past few months, I noticed subtle changes in Sarah's behavior. She began working late more frequently, often claiming that the hospital was short-staffed or that she had additional paperwork to complete. Initially, I didn't think much of it. After all, the medical field can be unpredictable. But then, she started coming home smelling of a different cologne, one I didn't recognize. When I asked about it, she laughed it off, saying it was probably from a patient or a colleague. Our intimacy dwindled. Sarah seemed distant, both emotionally and physically. Conversations became superficial, and she was always glued to her phone, guarding it more than usual. Late-night text messages became a norm, and when I inquired, she'd say it was just work-related. One evening, while Sarah was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Curiosity got the better of me. I glanced at the screen and saw a message preview, "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing." My heart sank. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I decided to gather more evidence. I confided in my best friend, Jake, who suggested I install a hidden camera in our living room. He reasoned that if something was going on, it would likely happen there. Reluctantly, I agreed. The next day, I purchased a small, discreet camera and set it up behind a bookshelf in the living room. It had a motion sensor and could be accessed remotely. I felt guilty invading Sarah's privacy, but my suspicions were eating me alive. That night, Sarah mentioned she had another late shift and wouldn't be home until after midnight. I kissed her goodbye and pretended to go to bed. Instead, I stayed up, monitoring the camera feed on my laptop. Around 10:30 p.m., the front door opened. Sarah walked in, followed by a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, with dark hair and a chiseled jawline. They laughed softly as they entered the living room. My stomach churned. They sat on the couch, talking intimately. Sarah placed her hand on his thigh, and he leaned in to kiss her. I couldn't watch anymore. I closed the laptop, feeling a mix of rage, heartbreak, and betrayal. The next morning, I acted as if everything was normal. Sarah was already up, making breakfast for Lily. I kissed my daughter on the forehead and grabbed a cup of coffee. My hands trembled as I held the mug. Late night? I asked Sarah, trying to keep my voice steady. Yeah, she replied without making eye contact. It was a tough shift. I nodded, biting my tongue. I wanted to scream, to confront her, but I needed to be strategic. That evening, after putting Lily to bed, I set up the living room for a movie night. I connected my laptop to the TV and called Sarah downstairs. "What's all this?" she asked, puzzled. "I thought we could watch something together," I replied, forcing a smile. She sat down on the couch, and I pressed play. The screen displayed the footage from the previous night. Sarah's face turned pale as she watched herself with the other man. "So," I began, my voice trembling, "this is what you've been up to?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "Mark, I can explain." I interrupted, my anger boiling over. "Explain how you've been bringing another man into our home? While our daughter sleeps upstairs?" She broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "Who is he?" I demanded. "His name is Daniel," she admitted. "He's a doctor at the hospital." It started a few months ago. We were both stressed, and one thing led to another. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Did you ever think about Lily? About our family? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know I messed up. I was selfish and stupid. I don't expect you to forgive me. I stood up, pacing the room. I need some time to think. I can't even look at you right now. I spent the night at Jake's place, confiding in him about everything. He was supportive, offering a listening ear and a place to stay as long as I needed. Over the next few days, Sarah and I had several painful conversations. She ended things with Daniel immediately and expressed deep remorse. We decided to attend couples therapy to see if our marriage could be salvaged. It's been 6 months since that night. Therapy has been challenging, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about our relationship. Trust is a fragile thing, and rebuilding it is an uphill battle. Some days are better than others, but the pain of betrayal still lingers. I don't know what the future holds for us. Part of me wants to forgive and move forward, especially for Lily's sake. Another part wonders if I'll ever be able to trust Sarah again. To anyone reading this, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, know that you're not alone. Betrayal cuts deep, but with time, support, and effort, healing is possible. Whether that means rebuilding the relationship or moving on separately is a personal decision. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. A week after that night, things between Sarah and me were tense. We spoke only when necessary, and even then, it felt like walking on shattered glass. Lily could sense something was off, too. She started asking why Mommy and Daddy didn't sit together at dinner anymore. That stung more than anything. Therapy had started, but I wasn't sure it was working. Sarah cried during every session. She kept saying she wanted to fix things, that she loved me, that she hated herself for what she did. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to feel something other than rage and disgust every time I looked at her. But that trust she shattered? It didn't grow back easily. One evening, about 3 weeks after the camera footage, I noticed a small change. Sarah had started dressing up again, doing her hair, putting on makeup. At first, I thought maybe it was for therapy or to feel better about herself. But one night, she came home after therapy later than me, smelling like a perfume I hadn't noticed before. Not bad, just different. And the look in her eyes? Guilt mixed with something else, fear maybe. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask. I just paid attention. The next day I checked her location history. She had said she was going to therapy, but she'd been parked near a Starbucks on the other side of town for almost 2 hours. I followed her the next week. It made me feel sick to do it, but I had to know. She did go to therapy, but she wasn't going alone. Daniel was there. They sat in the coffee shop across the street from the therapist's office. I parked nearby, watched them laugh like old friends. No touching. Just talking. But the way she looked at him? It wasn't over. It never was. That night, I didn't confront her. I needed more. So I set up a second camera, this time in the garage. She kept things in there sometimes, said it helped her separate work from home. But a few weeks ago, I'd found a hidden box in the garage, taped shut. I didn't open it yet. I wanted to see if she did. 2 nights later, while I pretended to sleep upstairs, she slipped out to the garage. The camera caught her opening the box. Inside were old photos of Daniel, cards, little gifts he must have given her. Things she'd saved. Why? I had no idea. But she stared at them for a long time. She cried. She kissed one of the photos. Then she burned them. I watched it all the next morning in silence. My hands clenched so hard the ceramic coffee mug cracked. She was trying to let him go, maybe. Or maybe she just wanted to destroy the evidence before I found it. That night, she looked exhausted. She asked if we could talk. I said yes. She confessed everything. She admitted she'd seen Daniel once after I found out. She claimed it was to get closure, to tell him she was done for good. That it was a mistake to even meet with him. She swore she burned his things to move on. I wanted to believe her. But that voice in my head, maybe my gut, kept whispering, she's still hiding something. So I asked her straight up. Is there anything else? She hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. There's something I haven't told you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. My stomach dropped. I missed my period 2 months ago, she said. I thought it was stress, but I took a test last week. I stared at her. And I'm pregnant. Silence. I was frozen. My brain couldn't process it fast enough. Is it mine? She broke. Sobbing so hard she fell to her knees. I don't know. I sat down slowly, the world spinning. My heart didn't just break, it collapsed. She said the last time she was with Daniel was the week before I caught them on camera. She had no idea if it was his or mine. The dates were too close. Now we had a whole new storm to deal with. We scheduled a paternity test. Had to wait a few weeks, though. Meanwhile, the weight of what could come crushed me daily. I moved into the guest room. Sarah tried her best to keep things normal for Lily, but I saw her breaking little by little. She'd cry when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd sit on the floor of the laundry room and stare at the dryer like it could fix everything. And then the twist I didn't see coming, Jake, my best friend, the guy I'd stayed with the night I found out, he started acting strange. Short texts, always busy. He used to check in almost daily. Then nothing for a week. One night, I drove past his place just because I couldn't sleep. And I saw Sarah's car. I didn't confront her right away. I waited until she came home. She looked tired. Said she'd gone to the grocery store. I said nothing. The next day, I texted Jake. No answer. So I drove to his apartment again. Her car wasn't there this time, but I knocked on his door. He answered, shirtless, looking like hell. Before I even said a word, he stepped back and said, Mark, I'm sorry. I lost it. I pushed him back inside. Demanded answers. He swore nothing happened between them. Said she showed up unannounced, crying, needing someone to talk to. That she'd only been there for an hour. That it wasn't like that. But I saw the guilt in his eyes. I didn't hit him, though I wanted to. I left, shaking, my world turning darker by the second. Back at home, I waited for Sarah to come in. She looked surprised to see me on the couch. I was just picking up milk, she said, holding up a bag. I didn't say anything. Just stared. Finally, she asked, what? Were you at Jake's last week? She froze. Then, yes. Why? I needed someone to talk to. You weren't speaking to me. I was losing my mind. Did anything happen? No. I swear. I didn't believe her. Not fully. Maybe they didn't sleep together, but something passed between them. A closeness that shouldn't have been there. I was now dealing with a wife who may be carrying another man's child, and a best friend I couldn't trust anymore. And I still hadn't made a decision. Do I walk away from this mess? Or try to survive it? There's more. So much more. But for now, I'm just trying to breathe. A few days after the Jake incident, I couldn't shake the feeling that something still wasn't right. My gut wouldn't quiet down, and I've learned by now to stop ignoring it. Sarah had been trying harder, cooking, cleaning, talking gently, apologizing in a dozen little ways. But I felt like she was walking through it all in a fog, not really there, like she was rehearsing lines from a play. It didn't feel real. None of it did anymore. Then something strange happened. I got a call from the hospital where Sarah worked. It was one of the HR people. They asked if I could confirm some information for a background check. I was confused, background check for what? They said she'd applied for a new position. A job transfer. At a different hospital. In Boston. Boston. I hung up the phone, stunned. That night I waited until Lily was asleep. Sarah was on the couch folding laundry. I walked into the room and asked, "When were you planning on telling me you applied for a job in Boston?" She stopped mid-fold, her face going pale. I was going to tell you," she stammered. "I didn't think I'd get the interview. I was just looking. Exploring options." "Exploring options without telling your husband?" I snapped. "I thought maybe. If we didn't work out, I'd need a fresh start." My head was spinning. "You're pregnant. You might be carrying my child. And you're applying for jobs across the country like you're single?" "I didn't mean it like that. I feel trapped here. Like everything I touch turns to shit. I didn't know how to fix it." "Leaving without saying a word isn't fixing anything." She started crying again. But this time, I didn't feel sorry. I was past the point of being broken. I was something else now. Numb and boiling at the same time. I told her I wanted space. Real space. So she went to stay with her sister for a few days. Lily stayed with me. I needed time to think, to sort out my own mess of a head. While Sarah was gone, I started cleaning out the garage again. I needed the distraction. That's when I found another box. It wasn't like the first one, this one was taped up and hidden behind the water heater. I recognized the handwriting on the side, Daniel's. I opened it. Inside were letters. Dozens of them. He'd written to her. Longhand. Romantic, graphic, poetic. Stuff like "Our bodies speak the language our mouths can't, and I still dream about your skin under my hands." Stuff I never imagined Sarah reading, let alone keeping. And then I found the worst letter of all. The one at the bottom. It was dated 2 weeks after I caught them on camera. He wrote, "I'll wait for you. You said you'd tell him after the holidays. I'm holding you to that. Don't let fear kill this." That was when I realized she never cut it off. Not really. She'd lied. The whole "I met him once for closure" was just another layer of the mask she kept putting on for me. And then came another twist, one I never would have guessed. Sarah's sister, Mia, showed up at my door 3 days later. She looked like she hadn't slept, and she was holding her phone with shaking hands. "I know I shouldn't be here," she said. "But you need to see this." She handed me her phone. It was a series of texts between Sarah and their cousin, Liz. In them, Sarah admitted she wasn't sure who the father was, and she also mentioned getting a fake test result. She'd planned to forge the paternity test. She hadn't done it yet, but she'd talked about it. Talked about how she was afraid I'd leave her if it turned out to be Daniel's. Liz told her it was a terrible idea, and Sarah said she was just thinking out loud. Thinking out loud about faking a paternity test? I couldn't breathe. I asked Mia if I could keep the screenshots. She nodded and said, "I had to tell you. You deserve to know everything." I thanked her and closed the door. I sat in the dark for what felt like hours. She hadn't just betrayed me physically. She was planning to lie to me again, to manipulate me into raising a child that might not even be mine. And I had no idea how much of what she'd said for the past 6 months was true. The next day, she came back home like nothing happened. I didn't say anything at first. I wanted to see if she'd confess. She didn't. So I played the game. We had dinner. Put Lily to bed. Then I sat her down and said, "You want to try again? Be honest this time?" She nodded. So I pulled out my phone, showed her the texts. Her face collapsed. She didn't deny it. She didn't even try to explain. She just said, "I didn't go through with it." "That doesn't change the fact that you considered it," I said, barely keeping my voice steady. She was shaking. I didn't know what to do. I was scared you'd leave me. I didn't want to lose everything. You already lost me, I said quietly. I didn't tell her about the letters from Daniel. Not yet. I was holding that. I don't know why. Maybe because part of me wanted to see how much more she'd keep from me if I gave her space. We're supposed to get the real paternity results next week. And now I'm here, writing all this down like maybe if I put it out there, it'll make sense. But it doesn't. It never does. I don't know if I'll stay or go. I don't know if the baby's mine. I don't know who the hell my wife even is anymore. But I do know this, the person I trusted most in the world became the one who taught me how deep betrayal can go. The paternity results arrived on a Wednesday. A plain envelope. No dramatic music, no flashing signs. Just a few sheets of paper that had the power to wreck or rebuild what was left of our lives. I sat at the kitchen table with the envelope in my hand for at least an hour. Sarah was pacing across the room, biting her nails. She kept asking, "Do you want me to open it?" I said nothing. Finally, I tore it open. I read it once. Then again. The lines swam in my vision. I passed it to her wordlessly. It was mine. The child was mine. She collapsed into the chair across from me, crying, laughing, her hands shaking. "Oh my God," she whispered, "thank God." But I didn't feel relief. I felt numb. Cold. Betrayal doesn't wash away because of a DNA test. I watched her cry like she'd been set free, and all I could think about was the letters, the plans to lie, the twisted maze of half-truths she built and dragged me through. She reached for my hand. I pulled it away. That night, I told her I found the letters. I told her I knew she met Daniel more than once. I told her I knew she had considered faking the test. And I told her I knew about the job application in Boston. She didn't deny a thing. She sat there with her face in her hands, weeping like she was trying to empty herself of every bad decision she'd made. "You asked me to be honest," she whispered. "So here's honesty. I loved him. I didn't mean to, but I did. I didn't plan it. It wasn't just physical. He made me feel seen. And I hated myself for it every time I looked at you." I stared at her, my mouth dry. "You should have left. You should have told me when it started. You don't destroy someone like this just because you feel invisible." She looked up at me, eyes swollen and red. I was scared. I thought I could fix it. I thought if I pretended hard enough, we'd be okay again. Then came the explosion. The front door opened, Mia walked in without knocking, her face red with anger. She looked at Sarah, then at me. "I told you to come clean," she snapped at her sister. "I told you, if you didn't tell him everything, I would." Sarah stood up fast. "Mia, this isn't your business bullshit," Mia cut her off. "It became my business when you asked me to help lie to your husband. When you sobbed about how he can't know everything or he'll never forgive me. You used me as your backup. You used everyone. I was desperate." Sarah shouted. "You were selfish," Mia said. "And now you've got a man ready to be a father, and you're still trying to twist everything to keep him tied down." Lily came downstairs at that moment, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy, why are you yelling?" Everything stopped. Every sound, every breath. Sarah rushed to her. "Go back to bed, sweetie. It's okay. Mommy and Daddy are just talking." But Lily didn't move. She stared at both of us, confused and scared. I felt my heart crack right down the middle. I walked over, picked her up, and whispered, "Let's get you tucked in, okay?" When I came back down, Sarah was sitting on the floor, knees drawn to her chest. Mia had left. The house was too quiet. The next morning, I packed a bag and left. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just told her I needed time and space, not in the guest room. Away. I moved in with Jake again. We had it out, too. I told him I didn't know what to believe about him and Sarah, but that right now, I just needed somewhere neutral to stay. He agreed. He was quieter now, less cocky than before. I think even he knew the damage couldn't be undone. Sarah texted me every day for the first week. I didn't respond. Then the messages slowed. A few came through from Mia, apologizing for not speaking up sooner, saying she'd support whatever decision I made. After a few weeks, I agreed to meet Sarah. Public place. Neutral ground. A park, with no walls to trap us, no roof to echo our pain. She looked thinner. Paler. But she didn't cry this time. I'm keeping the baby, she said. I want you to be part of its life, even if we're not us anymore. I nodded. Good. I'll be there. For the baby. For Lily. But I don't know if I can be your husband again. She blinked, but nodded. I understand. We sat in silence for a long time. The wind blew through the trees. Kids laughed nearby. The world kept turning. I loved you, I finally said. Still do, in some buried way. But love isn't enough when respect dies. She didn't reply. We parted quietly. That was 3 months ago. Since then, I've been back at the house a few times. Co-parenting. Trying to keep Lily's world intact. The baby is due soon. I'll be there. I'll hold it. I'll raise it. But I don't live there anymore. That door closed the moment the truth stopped mattering to her. I've learned something I didn't want to, that betrayal doesn't always come with warning signs. Sometimes it wears the face of someone you've loved for years. Sometimes it happens in rooms you paid for, under roofs you built together. I still don't know if I'll ever trust again, not her, not anyone. But I'm not angry anymore. Just tired. And maybe, in some small, quiet way, free. Because the worst is over. And I'm still standing.